Welcome to the morning call for Monday, the 2nd of March. Well, where to start? We're seeing prices just leaping on what's happening in the Middle East. And my thoughts are with everybody in the Middle East. There's real turmoil going on. But of course, that's having a massive impact on energy markets. And so let's look at the report first of all. Interesting, these targets were given on Friday. And of course, they've all just been passed. We had on the 60-minute and the 10-minute charts upside targets given on Friday. And they've been passed and met. So crude oil is looking now really quite bullish. There are the upside targets given on Friday. That's exactly where we've gone to. And those of you who watch me regularly will know that I've always been quite binary about Brent crude, just saying above 70 we're bullish, below 70 we're bearish. Here is the long-term weekly chart. We're not quite through on the lagging line on the cloud, and a break above this 80 level, a break and hold of 80 would be the beginning of a new trend. We didn't quite make a higher low here, but in a way, the failure to make a lower low is almost as good as a higher low. So now we're just in this range between 60 and 80, and if we break 80 and hold that level, that's going to be quite key. You look at the trend line, that is kind of failing. So the long-term picture is now bullish. I normally want to see 3 weeks above the cloud on the lagging line, but that 80 level is really critical, and we're knocking on the door there. And interestingly, the price has leapt straight to that resistance level, and that's where the upside target is. And the same is true, of course, of WTI. Now, if you're trading these products, you need to be looking at the shorter term charts. Here's the 10-minute chart with the targets on, and it's all going to unfold today on the 1-minute chart. We've got upside targets at the moment taking us back to this resistance level. There's going to be a plethora of targets generated on this chart today. I'm running here on LSEG. You can also be running on Bloomberg, of course. So this is the Bloomberg data. Makes no difference where the data is coming from. Updata is agnostic. You can be running on lots of different data services. But that's going to be really key today, just watching that 1-minute chart. That's absolutely critical. So looking at US nat gas, everything in the report, of course, bar emissions, we've gone for a bullish call. We're not back above that critical $3 level yet on nat gas, but we've crossed the cloud well and truly. Upside targets were met on Friday, and we're pushing higher. So again, and if we look at the targets here, there's the 60-minute chart. Looking at the 1-minute chart, this is going to be critical. We don't have targets building here, but pullbacks in price or falls and then pullbacks and then falls will generate buying and selling thrust through the day. The 1-minute targets are going to be absolutely critical there, so that's bullish as well. Taking a look, of course, with everything that's happening and the blockading of the Straits of Hormuz, we're going to see LNG prices really moving higher. We had mixed targets here. That target to 12.50 now is looking like the target that's going to activate. So much of LNG from Qatar is coming through Straits of Hormuz. With that blocking, we can just imagine that this price is really going to move. So that's going to be quite key. Bob, we're seeing big move there in the US, so that's a big reaction. And coal, I don't cover in the report, but we do have an upside target that's activated much higher on coal. And the key point here, this is the daily chart, breaking this 120 level will be really critical on API2. We've got upside targets here, 8% higher to 127 on the 60-minute chart. If you're using this on Trayport, you are going to see your OTC targets slightly differently as well. So that's the key point on coal. Carbon, we've gone neutral in the report purely because that price is not reacting. If anything, it's testing new lows. We've got a downside target here that's just kicked in this morning that wasn't showing when I wrote the report. That's on the 10-minute chart, and that's some 7% lower. And again, the 1-minute targets are going to be quite key. Just looking at the volatility there on the 1-minute targets, we're seeing that. And on UK carbon, again, that picture is really quite key. So that's the only neutral product in the report. The trend is still down, and we have been testing that low. 68 is the key level there for carbon. Now, TTF. I mean, you wouldn't believe it really, but this target on the 18th of February was given to 45 euros. That was looking untenable at the time. We've now put in a higher low and now leapt above there to make a higher high. For whatever reason, you would look at all the reasons that are going on. The reality is the chart has turned a corner. Higher low, higher high. That's the beginning of a new uptrend. We said we needed to break that 34 level last week. That's what's happened. We smashed that level with all the news flow that we're seeing. And now this target of 45 is now looking quite tenable. There was a target given on Friday to about 36.50. That was met immediately this morning. You can't ignore the targets. No clear targets on the 10-minute. NBP is a similar picture, of course. Target there was given on the 18th, and that's where we've gone as well. We've gone towards that target. And again, on the 10-minute, no clear target. But if we go to the 1-minute charts now, that's going to be the key. Just quickly looking at the daily chart for TTF, this shows the structure. There is resistance at this 43.40 level. That was the high in January off that big freeze spike that we saw in the US affecting markets globally. And now we're seeing here an upside target back to that level. So that's going to be really quite key, at 43.40 level. And that, interestingly, the lagging line shows the closing level was at 40. 40 euros is where we touched this morning, a very psychologically important level. So we do have to watch that. And looking at the 1-minute targets, that's going to be quite key. And of course, I know some of you are watching this on your Bloomberg. Here's crude oil on your Bloomberg targets, and here's that target on TTF on Bloomberg as well. So, and that's the Friday target given, and we've leapt to that price. And the Linton levels are marked on your Bloomberg charts as well, showing you the targets, and the same on crude oil as well. So you can be watching these targets on Bloomberg, but these 1-minute targets today are going to be really critical. We've got upside targets that have been generated off these little thrusts and a downside target. This picture is going to really emerge through the day, so do watch those 1-minute targets. That's going to be true on all products. So here we're looking at this, the summer, we're looking at the Cal on gas, looking at MBP, massive move there, 23%. We do have an upside target. The 10-minute will generate targets. That will take longer. The targets are going to show on the 1-minute target first of all. And here's NBP summer. Those targets given on Friday, we've gone straight there. Now looking at power, if we go to the report on power, not quite as bullish reaction on gas, of course, with the renewable mix, but the gas is at this level having an impact. We've broken that range of 82.50 on German power, and here we're seeing we really hit that 85.86 level. That's the previous levels. There's the Linton levels of previous pricing on the 10-minute, and even Nordic power, we're seeing leaps there in the price as well. Coming back to looking at the power markets generally, we've said before, German power was really this key level of 80. Now we're back into that 80-90 range. That's the really critical level. We were testing below that. That 80 resistance has been smashed, and now we're back into that level. And if we look at just some of the other contracts further out, we can see here, this is the quarterly on power, and then looking at the monthly, all these products having a reaction. Looking at French power, not as big a reaction here, but we do have upside targets, 57.40 and 63.10 if we can make to a new high. This looks to be turning a corner through the chart as well. On your trade port, of course, you will have OTC data. This is EEX data there. So, and then Italian power, a similar picture, upside targets there, one on the 10-minute. And again, on your trade port data, you will have a lot more granularity with the OTC data mixed in. The key point today is to watch these 1-minute charts on TTF. That's going to be absolutely critical, and the same on Brent crude. You're going to see that the 1-minute target's kicking in. There's another one that was just turned orange to green. That's been activated. That's it for today. Hang in there. Watch the top price targets. Until tomorrow, happy charting. Bye for now.